Hello friends, welcome back. So glad you could return to the Tamriel Tavern. First off, wipe off your shoes and then grab a chair, take a seat, and let's talk some Elder Scrolls Online news. In today's discussion, we'll be going over the QuakeCon live gameplay demonstration from late last week, and we'll also be answering the developer question of the week, which asks you what spells you would take into a nearby catacomb. So last Friday at QuakeCon, ZeniMax held their first ever Elder Scrolls Online gameplay live stream in which they said, "This is our game uncut, what do you guys think?" And we actually got to see a fair amount of footage. It was a 30-minute event, and of those 30 minutes, about 20 minutes were actual straight gameplay footage of some various things and a dungeon run. Now I've got a video compiling all that stuff right here in the channel. You can take a look at that. I'll give you a link below as well as an annotation here in the video, but I'd like to briefly just touch on what we got to take a look at. We got to take a look at character creation, which is actually rather in-depth, especially for an MMO. There's quite a few things that you can do. The video doesn't cover that in much detail, but you at least get a glimpse of that. We also got to take a look at some of the Templar skills. Now, the Templar is one of the 4 starting classes in the game, and it unlocks the 3 Templar-specific skill lines, in addition to all the other skill lines that you have. And we also got to see some skill morphing, which is the ability to take a base skill and alter it after a few levels. You get to decide sort of what direction you want a skill to go into, which is a rather neat system. We got to see lore books, which is just sort of the RP reading portion of the game. There's also some in-game reasons to lore books as well. And Sky Shards, which is a collection system that allows you to get skills to use in your skill trees. Now, the big chunk of the live stream, though, was the actual the showcasing of a dungeon, and with that we got to see a lot of combat in the first-person perspective. Now, this is also where, unfortunately, I think things started to go a little south for the presentation. For one, first-person perspective, as great as an addition as it is, it doesn't seem ideal, especially for a dungeon run with multiple people fighting against multiple enemies. And then also, it's a fairly new addition. That's something they just added this year, and so it's not quite as polished as the third person. I think another problem, though, with the presentation and what occurred was there's actually a lot going on in the combat, but to the uninitiated, it looks like spamming if it's not being explained. There's a lot of reaction, and there's a post on the Elder Scrolls Online subreddit talking about sort of the reactionary combat in the game. So besides your attacks, you can either do a basic attack or a wound up attack, which you hold down left mouse button more. There is spell interrupting. There's also the notion of blocking a power attack from an enemy, which dazes them and allows you to knock them on the ground if you respond with a power attack of your own. And then of course there's the simple notion of avoiding spells by either blocking them or dodging or avoiding red areas. Now, the combat, again, it's much more reactive. It's sort of a mix between heavy action combat and a tab targeting system. And it's pretty engaging, I can tell you from prior play experience at an event like PAX East, that the combat can be very engaging, but in the presentation that they have, it really wasn't explained what was going on, and I think for that reason, a lot of people just looked at it and thought it was spammy. Now, the good thing is that eventually, once the beta continues to roll on, and hopefully we get into open beta before release, people will actually get to play the game, and then I think they'll realize the combat is less spammy and actually does require you to pay attention, and as such makes it a little more interesting. So yes, once again, there is about 20 minutes of Elder Scrolls Online gameplay footage available. You can take a look at that right here on the channel. I definitely suggest doing so if you are even slightly excited for this game. Now on to the developer question of the week. This week it was stated that we are a brand new member of the Mages Guild and have been tasked with entering a nearby catacomb, but only getting to use 3 spells. So which 3 spells would you choose? What 3 spells would I choose? Well, I don't know if the catacomb is going to be too dark to see, so I guess I'd use the Luminary spell, and I'd probably do something simple like fire and healing. Kind of boring and pretty basic, but honestly, if I was going into a nearby catacomb not knowing what to expect, I would want to take the most basic of things. I'm sure you guys have some more exciting answers, so let me know in the comment section below. And that pretty much does it for this week's Elder Scrolls Online news. So once again, thank you guys so much for stopping by the Tamriel Tavern. Be sure to return next Monday. I'll be keeping you guys up to date as to what's going on with this game. And for now, it's time for you to leave. And also, stop staring at the barmaid. You're kind of creeping her out. Yeah, I know, but she doesn't like Argonians. You know, reptilian kind of phobia thing. Don't worry about it. I'll see you guys next week.